My daughter Ava had held her regional writing trophy for 11 seconds when my mother took it from her. We were still on the school auditorium stage. Cameras were raised. My mother Diane smiled, turned toward my niece Brooke, and said the award belonged to the child who had given Ava the idea. Then she placed my daughter's trophy in her cousin's hands. The audience clapped because they thought it was part of the ceremony. Ava looked at me with the frozen face children use when they are trying not to cry in public. My sister Lauren stepped beside her daughter and thanked the school for recognizing inspiration. The principal was speaking to a technician and had not yet seen what happened. I reached the steps just as my mother said Ava should learn that copying had consequences. She did not whisper. She wanted the microphones to carry it. Lauren said Brooke had told that story at Grandma's house months earlier, and Ava had stolen it for the contest. The trophy was not enough. They wanted my daughter publicly labeled a thief. Every part of me wanted to take the trophy from Brooke. Instead, I asked Ava's teacher to walk my daughter off stage. I told my mother we would speak after the school checked the submission record. Diane called that cowardice. It was the first time she mistook documentation for surrender. Ava's story was called The Blue Door. It was about a girl who discovers that every door in her family opens for someone else, so she builds one that recognizes her knock. Ava began it after my parents canceled her birthday dinner to attend Brooke's dance recital. She had never told them where the idea came from. 3 weeks before the contest, Ava printed a draft at my mother's house because our printer broke. Lauren was there. She photographed the first page and asked why Ava wrote such sad things about family. I remembered the question because Diane told me not to make everything about favoritism. By the time we reached the hallway, the family chat already said Ava had been disqualified for plagiarism. No school employee had used that word. Lauren posted a photo of Brooke holding the trophy and wrote that truth always finds the real author. My father asked me to apologize before I damaged both girls. In the counselor's office, Ava asked whether people could take your work if more adults believed them. I told her adults could take an object. They could not change who made it. Then I asked permission to open every draft she had saved. Ava nodded and handed me the little yellow notebook she carried all semester. The notebook held 6 versions of the story's first scene, each dated by Ava's teacher during writing workshop. The blue door began as a window, then a gate, then a door with a brass moon. Brooke's supposed original had appeared fully formed in one family message after Lauren photographed the page. The school librarian pulled the version history from the computer Ava used every Tuesday. It showed 23 revisions across 9 weeks. Whole paragraphs appeared, disappeared, and returned. Brooke's account had never opened the contest folder. Lauren said computer records were easy to manipulate, though she had no idea how they worked. The contest coordinator explained that judges never saw student names. Ava's manuscript had been submitted under a sealed number by her teacher. Diane could not have persuaded the judges, and Lauren could not claim the school favored me. The work had won before anyone knew which child wrote it. Brooke sat outside the auditorium with the trophy on her lap and would not look at Ava. She was 10, old enough to know the story was not hers, and young enough to be frightened of disappointing her mother. Ava asked if Brooke was in trouble. Even after being humiliated, my daughter worried about the other child first. The counselor asked Brooke where the blue door idea began. Brooke repeated the sentence Lauren had posted in the family chat, word for word. When the counselor asked what happened in the second draft, Brooke looked at her mother. Lauren answered for her. The principal asked Lauren to stop speaking. Diane told me privately that Lauren needed this win more. Brooke had struggled socially, and Ava already had good grades. She said one trophy could balance the cousins. That was my mother's version of fairness. Take from the child who survives being overlooked and call the theft support. Ava's teacher carried a sealed classroom portfolio to the principal. Inside were peer review sheets, index cards, and printed drafts with her initials. One index card contained the exact blue door image months before Lauren saw the printed page. The teacher said she would testify to every revision if the family forced the school to defend the award. The principal had paused the program after the next award. Parents were still seated, whispering about the trophy switch. Lauren assumed the school wanted to avoid embarrassment. She led Brooke back toward the stage and told my mother they should finish the photographs before anyone changed their mind. The principal stepped to the center microphone and asked Ava to return to the stage. Then she said the school needed to correct an unauthorized interruption. The regional judges had selected an anonymous manuscript. The complete drafting record belonged to Ava. No student had been disqualified except in a family message the school did not write. The principal held up the sealed portfolio without showing private pages. She explained the teacher dates, library revisions, and anonymous submission number. Then she asked Lauren whether Brooke had any earlier draft for the record. Lauren said children shared ideas all the time. The principal said sharing did not transfer authorship. Brooke began crying before Lauren could answer again. She said her mother showed her a photograph of Ava's page and told her to say she invented the blue door at Grandma's house. She said she did not want the trophy. Then she carried it across the stage and placed it back in Ava's hands. Ava did not hug Brooke for the cameras. She did not thank my mother for finally looking ashamed. She held the trophy against her yellow cardigan and asked the principal if she could read one paragraph from her story. The principal moved the microphone down to her height. Ava read the part where the door recognizes the girl's knock. No names, no accusations. Just a child writing about a place that finally knew she belonged. The auditorium stood when she finished. My mother stayed seated, which made the applause sound cleaner. The school suspended Lauren's volunteer access while it reviewed how she obtained student work. Diane was removed from Ava's emergency contact list because she had used school property to humiliate her. The contest kept Ava's award and added the drafting record to its archive. No courtroom was needed for adults to set boundaries. My father called that night and said the public correction had gone far enough. He wanted Ava to share the trophy in a family photograph so Brooke would not feel excluded. I asked whether anyone had worried about Ava feeling excluded while her work sat in Brooke's hands. He changed the subject. I ended the call. The following Saturday, Ava started another story. This time she wrote her name across the top of the first page instead of hiding it on the back. She asked whether that looked proud. I told her it looked accurate. Then she drew a second door beside the first, wide enough for two people who knew how to knock. The trophy is not the most valuable thing in Ava's room. The yellow notebook is. It holds every wrong sentence she kept working on until the right one appeared. My family tried to make applause decide who owned her voice. The drafts decided. More importantly, Ava did, and she never handed it back.